Well, with a year to go until the presidential election next November, the Marquette Law School poll released its latest survey.
It looked at how Wisconsin voters are feeling about a Joe Biden-Donald Trump rematch, as well as how other GOP candidates stack up in a hypothetical matchup against Biden.
Lots to unpack with the director of the Marquette Law School poll, Charles Franklin. Welcome back.
Hi, Charles.
We haven't seen you in a bit. So, overall, what's the impression of the poll?
Well, it's really a close presidential race. A 2-point Biden lead over Trump, a 2-point DeSantis lead over Biden. Both of those are inside the margin of error, and really you should call those a toss-up. The surprise is Nikki Haley does much better against Biden, but I think there's some reasons for that.
Yeah, break down those hypothetical
Let's look at the presidential race.
Yeah.
And so basically what we have is this close race. If 2024 is a rerun of 2020 with the same characters and much of the same script, and maybe we know the storyline, not many people are moving at all from Biden to Trump or from Trump to Biden. They're getting 94, 95% of the vote they got in 2020. But when you throw in a unfamiliar Republican, Nikki Haley, now she's getting more familiar, but in our data, 33% said they didn't know enough to have an opinion of her. So she's a much less vivid Republican figure than Donald Trump
Not
is.
Vivek.
Not Vivek, but vivid.
But in a hypothetical matchup, she would beat Biden.
She would run ahead 9 points ahead of Biden in a hypothetical matchup today. But why is that? It's because unlike either Trump or DeSantis, she actually does draw some discontented Biden voters over to her. When we look at that, she can draw, in our data, 15% of Biden's vote. That's a tremendous draw. Now, if she became the nominee, we would see partisan polarization. We would see people get to know her more. And then the things that they might not know about now might become flaws for her. And we would, at the very least, expect that margin to draw a lot tighter. On the other hand, she's running third in the GOP primary here in the state. She's the strongest against Biden, but the weakest of the three, Trump, and DeSantis, and she are the.
What percentage of people don't even know who she is?
33%. Which, you know, is quite a bit. She was on the stage last night for the third time, and yet not entirely known to everybody. Even among Republicans, it's over 20% that don't have an opinion of her.
Speaking of favorables, let's go on to Tammy Baldwin in the Senate race.
Yep. Baldwin's favorability is a little bit underwater, a little more unfavorable than favorable by 2 points. That's down a little bit when she was about 43 or 44 favorable in June, so it's down just a bit. What we see with her over the long haul is she's typically just a couple of points, 3 points above water, but occasionally she dips below water, more unfavorables. So right now it's a little bit down, but so far without a Republican opponent, it's hard to gauge what that means at all.
And that last graphic, haven't heard enough, meaning they don't know enough about her, or they haven't heard enough from her?
They haven't heard enough to have an opinion favorable or unfavorable.
Okay.
Speaking of unfavorables, Robin Vos.
Yes. Here's an interesting story on him. His favorability is considerably lower than his unfavorables, 20 points lower. But that 46% that haven't heard enough about him to have an opinion is really, to me, the story. This is the most powerful Republican in the Capitol and for a long time Speaker, and yet half of the state don't spontaneously have an opinion about him. Now, part of that is he's only elected by one of the 99 assembly seats, so he's only elected by 1/99th of the state. The vast majority of people have never had a chance to vote for him one way or another. Finally, he's liked by Republicans and intensely disliked by Democrats, but Republicans don't know him as well as Democrats do. And so that pulls down his overall number as well.
Wow. We don't have a graphic, but the governor's ratings are pretty high.
They are running in the low 50s, about 53 this month. That's down 3 points, I think it is, from June, but still solidly above 50. He had dipped down to about 48 before the re-election last year, and then we saw that jump up in June, and that's come down a little bit, but is still net positive.
Let's remind everyone there's still a year to go.
Yes.
It is a year to go.
A lot can happen.
You think things might change in a year? Potentially? Yeah.
Potentially is the right way to put that.
Charles, great to see you again.
to see you,
Have a good Thanksgiving.
And you too.